I guess I'll add myself. Good morning, everybody. Welcome into the Couch Potato Sports Show. It is me, Sonny Clark, the hardest working man in sports radio here on our Sunday morning tradition, but it's not Sunday. It is Christmas, our Christmas tradition. Sometimes, depending on what's going on, we do a show. And that's what we're going to do today. We're going to do a show here, here on this Christmas morning. Not sure if anybody else is going to show up. Pathfather said he might, but outside of that, it doesn't matter because we're just going to do the show anyway. We got not one, not two, but 3 games today. Thank you, Bryce, for not one, not two. But 3 games going on today as the Dallas Cowboys will kick it off as they're on the road taking on the Washington Commanders. Big game there as far as that is concerned. And then after that, it is the Detroit Lions on the road taking on the Minnesota Vikings. And then wrapping it up tonight is going to be the Denver Broncos taking on the Kansas City Chiefs. So 3 loaded games today. Not really much in play as far as playoffs are concerned, as the Dallas Cowboys and the Washington Commanders. And the Lions and Vikings, the Lions in a lot of trouble as far as trying to get back. And we're actually going to talk a little bit about that because we talked about it before the beginning of the season. Then the Broncos and the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, the Chiefs get to try to play spoiler today, as my Jacksonville Jaguars are still trying to get in, and yet there's another team. Oh, it is the Chargers who play on Saturday, a big game. So the Chargers are going to be watching this with, loving life, especially if somehow the Kansas City Chiefs come back and win this game, which don't necessarily see it. Quarterback situation in Kansas City's there. We'll talk about that as well. But again, on Saturday, the Houston Texans take on the Chargers. Now, if the Broncos lose, that means the Chargers really, 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 really need to win if they're looking to grab up that top spot in the AFC so they can get the first week bye. Not sure if that's going to end up happening because at the same time, my Jacksonville Jaguars, they are trying to, win out the last 2 weeks, which, by the way, a very good shot for them, but some scenarios have to happen in order for that to go. The Broncos need to at least lose 1 because the Jaguars have got the tiebreaker over that, as well as the San Diego Chargers. Back in the day, the Chargers, if they lose 1, again, the Jaguars have the tiebreaker on that. As far as where the Jaguars get, man, all I can say is, you had something you needed to do at the beginning of the season. And that was to get rid of let's just say a rough start.
Duval.
It's a cringe moment. By the way, I learned that from the young folks. Cringeworthy. I just learned that. That was really cringeworthy. Oh my good Lord have mercy. Yeah, that is me, by the way. Yes, my own Santa cup. See, my own Santa cup. Just tired of drinking on somebody. Hey, I'm a Santa. I get my own damn cup. So. Anyway, so the Jaguars in pretty good shape. Now, let's go ahead and move out of the way here. Green Bay Packers on Saturday night are at home taking on the Baltimore Ravens, and we got some information about who's going to make what, who won't make what, why won't they make what. We'll be looking at that because there's a lot of stuff going on there as far as that is concerned. As who's going to make the playoffs, who's not. It's going to be really interesting. I'm actually really excited about week 17 because we're seeing a little bit of a different, a change at the guard. In reality, when you look at it, look at that. The Kansas City Chiefs, they're not even going to be in the playoffs this year. They're already eliminated. And of course, you got, the game that don't matter. My finger's disappearing here. There we go. That one right there. I can't say it doesn't matter. There's still a little bit going on for the Lions. We'll talk about that as well, as far as who's doing what, when they're doing it, and why they're doing it. But a lot of interesting things coming out of the football world in the last 2 weeks of the football season. And I say that because when you look at, how do you say, you look at where things are, where people are landing in the playoffs, who can be who, where could they be, all those things are going to come into reality today. And I think that's going to be a lot of fun as far as what your expectations of the playoffs are going to be because of who might be there and who might not be there. And I think that's going to be a big part of what happens today. That having been said, I think, well, that's what we'll do. We're going to go into this because I've got some great slides here of some of the things that are going on. And I want to start with some of the people that are going to, well, let's do this first, right here. Say whatever you want about Aaron Rodgers, okay? You can talk about where they are right now, but the guy that has won the most playoff wins against the guys that are going, that are set now. You got a couple of guys, 3 of them that don't have any playoff wins. That's Herbert, Nix, and Maine. Then Trevor Lawrence, they do got a playoff win. But CJ Stroud, also 2 wins, one of them against my Jaguars. And then the only one that comes close is Allen. And they got 7. So all of these guys that we just got done talking about who are in the playoffs, okay, they don't have more than Aaron Rodgers. Now, saying a lot? Yeah, it does say a lot. It says that Aaron Rodgers is a guy that you do regardless need to worry about. Because of the way of the standings, the Baltimore Ravens did not help themselves at all. They hurt themselves with that loss last week. And say whatever you want, the Steelers right now with a 2-game win, and they got right as of right now, they have the tiebreaker. So the Steelers need to win 1 game and the Ravens need to lose another for the Steelers to be out on top of this. And I think when I look at where the season lies, who's where, the Steelers are one that, well, they really come to mind because of who they are and what they have done. And I will also say, as far as the Steelers are concerned, are you tired of them yet? Are you tired of the same old story that is up there for the Steelers? I know I am. I mean, the fact that this guy at the head coaching position for the Steelers, 19 season, Mike Tomlin has not had a losing round. And I'm telling you right now, all you got to do is go back into the archives. When they were at 16 and 17, I'm like, who cares? What have they done? And the simple fact of the matter is they haven't done anything.
What have you done for me lately?
That doesn't mean anything. Hey, well, let's give him the proper. But do you care? Do Steeler fans, I mean, really, do you care? Does this rank, I guess if you want to say rank up with some of the best performances as a head coach, obviously, you go back and you see guys that have done what they have done. This is not something that, first of all, you're lucky to make it 19 seasons as a head coach. And then outside of that, having winning seasons as a head coach. But what does it mean in reality? Does it mean anything? At one point, I think it did. I mean, 15 years, but here's the thing. When you don't have any wins afterwards, it really takes away from, I really do. I won't take away the fact that he had 19 years. And if he coaches next year and he gets it again, all he has to win is 9 games. That is an incredible run. It's an incredible feat that only is done by a few people. But what has he done with it? You're talking about a football team that has made the playoffs and been bounced many times. Does that mean anything to the Steeler fans? Do you want to see? I mean, I don't know about you. 19 years, I'd want to see some, real results, and especially lately. Now, we can argue back and forth about their quarterback position. That hasn't been the same since they lost Ben Roethlisberger. If you want to count this year for them having success, wonderful. You can have that. And I'm not even going to take away from that. The simple fact of the matter is they got a 42-year-old quarterback doing what he has done and has led them probably to the playoffs, which is wonderful. Now, where will it happen after? I still want to see it. If they get bounced in the first round, which, depending on the situation, we'll look at the graph in a moment. What does that mean for the long haul for the Pittsburgh Steelers? Will Aaron Rodgers feel like, oh my God, I've got to come back. Look what we have done. We were so close, blah, blah, blah. Then we can have the off-season drama that we've had for the last 5. Oh, is he going to come back? I'm just so sick of it. But this is also a football team that has had its moments, losing football games that they shouldn't. But I will say this. Toward the mid part of the season for the Jacksonville Jaguars, the Pittsburgh Steelers, I was thinking to myself, what is this going to lead to? And I'll admit it, about mid-season, I was like,
going to amount to jack squat.
Because of the tendencies that was going on, maybe they had the opportunity not to finish above the 500. Because then, of course, we had a lot more to say. Oh, it's the first season where he hasn't, so we got to give him a break kind of thing. I got it. Have you ever had some cereal that you left on the counter? And even though it's been wrapped up and everything, it's been opened, and you keep having it, and you keep having it, and then all of a sudden it becomes stale. That's what I look at as far as the Pittsburgh Steelers are concerned. They are the stale cereal box that, yeah, you can eat it, but God, it's horrible. Maybe that is what I am getting and my understanding with the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's gonna be an interesting run. What happens in as far as where the Steelers are, what happens for them? And I'll say this, and I'm sure Bryce will agree with me. I'm not sure if anybody else will agree with me. But the playoffs and every year when the Pittsburgh Steelers are good, then guess what? The NFL is better, is good. Good and better. So, that having been said, what are we going to get from the Pittsburgh Steelers? It will always be what if? Can they pull it off? Can they basically get over themselves? And I don't know that the Pittsburgh Steelers, based upon who may or may not make the playoffs this year, I don't know how I don't see a one and done for them. And does that mean anything to anybody? It will mean something if they go out, and then I want to hear uproar from Steeler fans of this is just not getting done right. Now, of course, you can look at those kind of things, and then you can ask the question, is it worth watching this football team? Well, it's the playoffs, okay? All the games, when that starts, we'll be seeing all the game. We'll see every play. Granted, red zone leaves a little bit desired because you don't see a lot of the replays or some of the commentary coming from it. Oh, interestingly enough, that's what they said. I didn't even know that. Sometimes you don't get that. So when you're stuck watching every single football game, as far as the playoffs are concerned, yeah, it's going to be real interesting to see what happens with the Steelers. Will they bow out quick? Will they just start stinking it up? Will Aaron Rodgers show that he's a 42-year-old quarterback? Yeah, that's something to always be able to talk about. Good, better, and different. Okay, good, better, and different, guys. Now, the Pittsburgh Steelers, it should be interesting to see what happens to them moving forward for the rest of the season. But, how many years was it again? I guess you throw the congratulations out there, but by the way, I'm kind of taken away from the feat, but at the same time, that many seasons being, winning seasons, I guess you got to show it the respect. But when there's nothing to be said about it, nothing that you can go, man, we should have went a lot further in this. And that is something that you got to look at. But where they move, I don't know. Do I see him moving past the first round? I don't know. Here, let's pull up the playoffs rank. Here we go. So this is the playoff picture as it stands now. There could be some changes in this, but right now you got Seattle. How about the Seattle Seahawks, guys? An amazing feat of what they have done. Interestingly enough, and the bad part for the Panthers, okay, not winning this division or being able to do what Seattle's done to be up on top, they're going to get San Francisco, and they're going to be the number 4 ranked seeding, but they're going to end up with the 49ers as a possibility. You want to talk about, and the 49ers are 5th because they win the division and end up on top like the Seattle Seahawks have. Will that be able to change? I don't know. We'll look at it. I don't know that one off the top of my head. But look where the Pittsburgh Steelers are right now. Granted, no one's going to expect them to be where Denver is in doing it. They're going to end up with the 5 seed if they stay where they are, because they'll be the last as far as the worst record for their division, North, South, East, and West. The South, East, and West are going to have better records. So, but they will grab up that last 4 spot by winning the division, and then they might get the Chargers because of what could end up happening for the Denver Broncos, or for the Chargers, or for that matters, the Jacksonville Jaguars. So, interestingly enough, the way that this is going to play out, you could see a switch depending upon what Houston and Jacksonville does. Hey, listen, you can love the Jaguars all day long, and I do. Okay, but I still think they can win the last 2 games, but I also think they can lose them. And having that confidence, I love it, but I don't want my heart broken, because that's just what the Jacksonville Jaguars have a habit of doing, breaking hearts. So where the Steelers are, winning that division will get the 4th, and as if it finished today, they get the Chargers. I don't think they want the Chargers. Okay, do they want the Chargers? I don't think so. Do they want the Patriots? I don't think so. Well, that's not going to happen in week 1, but there could be some movement. It could end up being the Texans. I don't think they want the Texans. The Texans are a bad football team, man. And the Buffalo Bills, I think out of the Chargers, Texans, or Buffalo Bills, yeah, I think they want the Buffalo Bills. That would be the better one, because right now they're just not playing good football. We've already seen it. So as far as the Pittsburgh Steelers are concerned, I don't think they want anything of the Chargers. However, the Chargers have shown that they can be beaten. Look what the Jaguars did. They went to LA and beat the holy hell out of them. So watch out for that. That's going to be interesting as far as that's concerned. So, but the Buffalo Bills haven't been playing good football. They've shown that they know how to stink it up, although they've won 4 in a row, but they know how to drop them. But the difference in that one, in reality, is the Buffalo Bills will be on the road. They're 5-3 on the road. They're 6-1 at home if they could have secured that home field, but that's not going to happen because of what's happening in New England. So the FC is going to be a really fun set of football to watch. And as we move past the last 2 weeks, we're going to see most of the not division games. We'll see division, but conference games. That's what we're going to see for the last 2 weeks. And normally, when you look at the game as far as the Ravens are concerned, Baltimore is going to get Green Bay, and that's not a conference game. So I like that, but I like this game because of what's going to go on with Jordan Love. Is he going to start? I don't know. I haven't looked. Baltimore, their playoff chances are so slim, it's crazy. That's why tonight's football game will be really interesting, because if Baltimore comes out with the win on this, that puts a lot of pressure on Pittsburgh, even though they're playing the Browns, and we're going to get the not 1, not 2, but the 3 keys of victory for that game on Sunday with Obi as well as Bryce in Brooklyn. So I'm looking forward to that one. So now, next week, guys, I had the wrong date. I thought it was going to be last week. I was wrong. It is this Sunday. We're going to get special guest comedian, pun master himself, Marcus Monroe. Guys, he makes me laugh each and every week. He puts out something at least once a week. So what we're going to do, we're going to take a quick break here on the Couch Potato Sports Show, but we'll exit into commercial with Marcus Monk.
I usually carry a long wooden pole with me, just in case. I once knew a homosexual Russian knight. His name was Sergei. Sergei. You guys in? Everyone in and comfy? What time is it? It's nighttime. I actually ran into my old jousting partner the other day. We exchanged lances. A lot of us suffer from insomnia. There are a lot of sleepless nights. I'm a big fan of shields. That's something I can really get behind. But a hen stole my shield. That cock blocker. Anyone in need of any good jousting work? I'm going freelance. No. Ah, how you doing? I gave her a night to remember.
Barrios Brewing Company is Arizona's oldest brewery. In 2017, Barrios opened up in Phoenix at the Phoenix Mesa Gateway Airport. Barrios is a roomy brew pub featuring its own brand of craft beers on tap, plus burgers, tacos, as well as sports on TV. Check out a few of their favorites, such as the Barrios Bacon Jam Sliders, 2 beef sliders covered with their own savory bacon jam and cheddar cheese, served on a pretzel roll. Yum. And how about Barrios Brats? The house bratwurst is slowly simmered in a copperhead pale ale grilled over an open flame, served with your choice of sauerkraut or caramelized onions. Yum again. So check out Barrios, located at 5803 South Sossaman Road, number 212 in Mesa, Arizona. Or give them a call at 480-988-7171. That's 480-988-7171. Barrios Brewing Company.
Recently, and for no reason at all, I asked Mint Mobile's legal team if big wireless companies are allowed to raise prices due to inflation. They said yes. And then when I asked if raising prices technically violates those onerous 2-year contracts, they said, "What the f*** are you talking about, you insane Hollywood ass f- Do you know how big their legal department is, face?" So to recap, Mint is actually lowering prices on every plan to just $15 a month. And I will stay the hell out of the legal department.
At Wesson General Contracting Incorporated, we're your one-stop shop for all your general contracting needs. We are locally owned and with over 20 years of experience, so roofing, gutters, sidings, fence staining, painting, foundation problems, or roof damage are no problems at all. Give us a call at 214-200-5588. That's 214-200-5588. Wesson General Contractors.
The prospect of retirement can be exciting and scary at the same time. At Nest Egg Wealth Advisors, we have found many people either approaching or currently in retirement fail to truly maximize some of the benefits offered to them, primarily Social Security. What is it? How does it work? It's simply not a benefit that you start receiving at age 62. Because these decisions are so important, my firm has assembled an informational packet on Social Security. If you would like a complimentary copy of Social Security Maximization, please give our office a call today at 972-412-6064 or visit us on the web at nesteggadvice.com. At the Jerry Bullet Training Center, we are a motivated team of coaches with the mindset of helping you achieve and reach your highest goals. Having developed and trained over 100 Division I athletes as well as Division II athletes, even professional athletes, the Bullet team definitely has the knowledge and mindset that take you to the next level. Check out our new 22,000 square foot facility and 3,000 square foot weight room, along with 4,500 square feet of outdoor turf and covered training area, along with football and soccer fields. Contact Melvin Bullitt at 214-326-7853 or visit their facility just outside of Waterview at 8900 Princeton Road in Rowlett.
Being taken for a ride? Check out Costo Insurance, serving Texans since 1981.
Bundle your home, auto, or business insurance and save a ton. Paso Insurance on the corner of Main Street and Rowlett Road, where we make insurance fun. Or check us out on the web at PasoInsurance.com, where we always have the coffee pot on. Yeah, but is it fresh?
There is nothing that beats good home-cooked barbecue. Since 1941, Dickey's Barbecue has done all the cooking and you take all the credit. Come see us today at our Rowlett location, 5701 President George Bush Turnpike, Suite 110 in the Target Shopping Center. Whether you want to eat in or take it home, we will fix you up. For lip-smacking, rib-tickling, knee-slapping, foot-stomping, great-tasting barbecue, come see us at Dickey's Barbecue today.
Here at Fit Body Boot Camp, located in Saxe, the solution is here. Fast, long-lasting weight loss results and the healthy lifestyle you need to keep them. The key to your fat loss success is our signature afterburn workouts, as well as support and motivation from our world-class coaches, and an easy-to-follow nutrition program to help you keep the fat off. Visit your local Fit Body Boot Camp in Saxe today to see the difference for yourself, or give us a call at 214-463-3005. That's 214-463-3005. Fit Body Boot Camp, Saxe. Saxe Ice House is a non-smoking craft beer and beer pub located in the heart of Saxe. The Ice House was opened to provide a friendly, clean, and female-friendly environment. Saxe was lacking a place for service industry, date nights, and girls' nights, as well as happy hours. Excellent service and top-notch food are our priority. On Tuesday, we offer 79-cent wings, as well as half-price burgers on Mondays. So check us out at the Ice House, located at 6501 Highway 78 in Saxe, or give us a call at 469-304-1550, or check us out on the web at SaxeIcehouse.com.
All right, here we are back here on the Couch Potato Sports Show. Who knows how long we're going to continue on. Welcome back into the show. It is Christmas. Merry Christmas to everybody. Happy holidays. Still got that New Year's Day and Eve kind of thing happening on Wednesday and Thursday of next week. So interestingly enough, that should be kind of fun, something to look at. We do have the, what do you call it? The college playoff, if anybody cares. I guess I'm not one that really cares. But it's something to watch to keep you busy during this holiday time. But today we have got 3 games up on board, and what I'm going to do is I am going to start talking about one game, and I'm going to go to today's game, the afternoon game of the Lions and the Vikings. Now, that having been said, of course, that's the name of this show. This is a game that brings a lot of playoff kind of things going on. And I think all right, I'm just going to say, let's just put this up because, yeah, this is, something as far as what we see every single year. Okay? And this one happens. Now, NFL fans are slamming the wide receiver, St. Brown, complaining of having to play on Christmas Day. I get it, but it's a day. Now, maybe I'm just not that sentimental. Maybe, when you make as much money as this guy does and he wants to spend time with his family, tomorrow's another day. You are, and I agree with the woman here. Now, granted, this one, give your paycheck back then. Don't play football. Before you start playing in the NFL, you know what chances you have playing on Thanksgiving. See, and that's one of the reasons why he's pissed off. Because they got to already play on Thanksgiving, that being the Lions. But the boo-hoo, I agree. Boo-hoo, give your paycheck back. Listen, I'll work them all to make the money that you make, and you can take those extra days. You know, and I don't know. Good, bad, or indifferent. I don't always want to be the Scrooge, okay? Now, and mainly I do this show on a Saturday. First of all, talk football. Right? This is what I do. And this is what I love doing. I'm sure he loves playing football. And he gets the opportunity to play this game. But can you blame anybody for not feeling, giving two craps about this guy and what he's doing on Thanksgiving, especially at the money that he makes? I don't. I get it, but I don't. If you want to be broke for the rest of your life, wonderful. Okay, but I'm telling you right now, I'd give up Christmas, Thanksgiving to make some of the money that he makes. Not even as much. So it's hard to feel sorry for the guy. It is very hard to feel sorry for the guy. But that being said, they are in action this week. They are in action today. And that's the game I want to get started talking about, because I think it's an important game as far as nothing is concerned except for the teams themselves. Now, we can keep talking about the drought of some other football teams in the NFL. And we will talk about that. That having been said, of course, that's the name of this show on Sunday. Make sure you catch it. The Lions are a 7.5 favorite over the Vikings at home. Now, granted, their situation with their quarterback is horrible too. Minnesota, okay, gets a win against the Giants and last time they played the Cowboys. As far as where they are, let's look at the standings for the Minnesota Vikings, as they're 7-8 and out of the playoff picture. They've won 3 in a row. The best they can end up with is the 9-8 version and getting them over the 500 to make them feel good. I don't know. The Lions 8-7. And the Lions are a football team that are in a lot of trouble because of that. After losing to the Steelers, they take a major hit. Now, granted, they've got to win this football game to keep them alive. So looking at where the Lions are, their situation is not much better. Lions 8-7, so 1 game better, and that 16% shot of them to try to make it. They've got to win some football games. And say whatever you want, they've taken 2 bad losses against probably some pretty good football teams. The Rams, and the controversial ends of the Steeler game. We could sit there and talk about it all day long, but it's irrelevant. But the Lions have not been doing themselves any bit of good. They lost to good football teams and won against bad football teams. Take a look at the Dallas Cowboys. Say what they won the game 44-30 for them, okay? But We can't sit here and talk about how good the Dallas Cowboys are. The New York Giants, I mean, are we talking about that? That was their last one before that. Their last one before that was against the Washington Commanders. Not a good football team. Now, depending on what you think, this is where it started as far as the Bucs going downhill. They beat the Bucs. That was in week 6. But losing games to good football teams, if you want to call the Steelers good, I think you can because they're going to probably win. The Rams lose to the Rams. Green Bay Packers lose to them. The Eagles lose to them. And then taking a bad lot. But this was still when the Vikings were actually halfway good. They lose to the Vikings. And Trey, I just heard from the Podfather, he's not going to be able to make it today. We'll go ahead and give him a thumbs up for that, for at least trying to get in. That having been said, the Lions are a football team that have got to be better. They are a football team that needs to come to play. And right now, they're not showing that they have been able to do it. But the Minnesota Vikings, you just never know who you're going to get in reality. And that being said, J.J. McCarthy has been playing well. Well, hold on. I guess well is relative. But the situation with McCarthy is health. And it's always been health. He's got a hairline fracture in his right hand, and he's not going to play today. So now you get the backup as far as that is concerned. And I'm not sure who you're going to get. Brett Rippon, I don't know. Are you going to get Max Brosher? Everything I'm reading, it's going to be Brosher or Brosmer. I'm sorry. And so the Lions get the opportunity here to be able to get a win going into it. Now, you can sit and talk about who's good, who's bad, or whatever. The Lions, as far as scoring offense, they're second in the NFL, scoring 30 points a game. And 10 points behind that are the Vikings. And that's when they did have a quarterback or whatever the case may be. The Lions are 8th in the NFL for scoring points getting out of the gate. But the Vikings, listen, that's a football team that knows how to get out in the first quarter. They're 14th in the NFL, and not get out of the gate. They're 14th in the NFL, only averaging 4.7 points in the first quarter, while the Lions are averaging 5.5. But where it happens for the Lions, when they're really good, is when they, in the second quarter, they're scoring 10 points in the second quarter of each game. Vikings are only scoring 5. So before you get going and how this works out for you, the score of this game could be, 16 to 10. But in the NFL, in the fourth quarter, the best scoring team in the NFL are the Lions. They've scored 9.6 points a game in the fourth quarter. So even if they do get behind in this game, they got a fourth quarter that they can depend upon as far as their scoring offense is concerned. So where does that leave it? Well, defensively. Well, say whatever you want about the Lions. They're pretty good defensively. The problem is they're spending way too much time out on the football field because that defense is solid if they fully get the rest and everything else. The problem is the Vikings offense is not all that great, which keeps them out on the football field. They allow 21.3 points a game, and that's with their quarterback not getting out, giving them any time. Normally, you look at that. If they had a steady offense, you could probably look at the Vikings being top 5 as far as points allowed in the NFL. That's the difference between those. But the Lions, they allow 23 points a game. So looking at that, can that defense for the Vikings show up and put a stop to the Lions? But where you might see it the most will be in the fourth quarter, 8th in the league, only giving up 5.6 points a game, or in the fourth quarter. All right, so the Lions, they're 22nd in the NFL in the fourth quarter, they give up over a touchdown. So if this is a close game, looking at the numbers wise, it's huge. And also, the defense for the Vikings against the pass is 3rd in the NFL. They're only giving up 170 yards a game. So 170 yards a game that they give up. All right. And they throw, that being the Lions, 255. That number will come down in the game per se based upon the numbers. Even if it does, is it going to be enough? The Vikings are the second best team in the league, only giving up less than just one spot, less than a touchdown per game. Everything else is going by the rush and things of that sort. So will the Lions be able to rush the ball? Will be the big question if they're going to try to roll that. The Vikings are giving up 10 yards per pass. Don't like the number. Giving up 6.1 is great. And the Lions give up a full 7, which the difference between the 6.1 and the 7, the Vikings are 10th in the NFL. The Lions are 22nd. But, sacks could be a big part in this game. The Lions are 10th in the NFL. They're getting over 2.7 sacks per game. Same thing with the Lions. They're at 2.7 as well. But here's where a big number is, okay? Quarterback hits per game. When you are the Lions, you can't let your guy get hit when you got 16% chance of making the playoffs. Can't allow it to happen. But the quarterback is going to get hit in this game. They're 6th in the NFL, or they give up 6 hits per quarterback, 11th in the NFL. And I'm telling you right now, the Lions like to hit quarterbacks. But where the problem lies is they better figure out how to stop the run. All right. The Vikings are 24th in the NFL. They're giving up 124 yards on the ground. And the Lions, they get 124. So that number, stopping the run, is going to be very important for the Vikings. And both teams are giving up, rushing touchdowns. So this is going to be an interesting game. We can snap immediately and say Lions, but that is the problem for the Vikings because they don't have J.J. McCarthy. Now, J.J. McCarthy is known to throw some stinkers out there. We've watched it. And that is huge as far as that. So so we'll stop. Here's the Podfathers picks for today. Dallas is going to beat Washington, and there is 1-8 in 10 years. Yeah, there we go. We do that history thing. I don't care about history unless it's same year. I don't care about that, but that's okay. Lions are going to destroy the Vikings. Broncos beat the Chiefs. Houston takes on the Chargers, and they beat the Chargers. So that's it. And he does give a reminder who's in first place. By the way, I guess I could here. Hold on, since he's definitely trying to get that out there. All right, so go to the picks. Here we go. Godfather is tied with Obi at 162. And then Joe Boo's 2 games behind. And then 3 games behind is Cuervo. And then a little bit further behind, 7 behind, is Fred. So Fred and Screaming Eagles. So that being said, I am, as far as the game is concerned, I like the Lions and I like their chances, so they got to keep winning. So this should be interesting. They end with the Chicago Bears, and the Chicago Bears would love just to put an end to that whole thinking of the Lions making the playoffs, kind of, making it like, we're going to win the division, we're going to knock out the Lions. So that being said, the Lions, interesting situation where they are barely hanging on. When last year and the year before that, we're talking Lions in the playoffs. And the fact they lost everybody on their coaching staff, head coaching jobs to the Jets and obviously the Bears. And we can obviously say that that was a big part of what they do week in and week out, that being the Lions. Now, they might get an opportunity to bring Aaron Glenn back if they go ahead and can Glenn after the first year in Washington. That would be wonderful for the Lions to get him back. If that happens, would they take him back? Well, I don't see any reason why, except for the fact that, well, we've heard him, we let him go, we're not going to bring him back kind of thing. But if they leave the door open for him, I'm all for it. Listen, say what you want about Aaron Glenn as a head coach, and there's a lot of things that you could say. Okay, obviously look at the record. But as a defensive coordinator, the guy's got it going on. He had it going on. And if the offense in New York can play, their defense is not god-awful. They're just on the field too much. And when you're on the field too much, it takes away what you can do week in and week out to show if you're good at all. So, that having been said, the Lions today, obviously an important game for them. They got to be able to do what they're going to do. Everything on the defensive side of the ball says Vikings, but what are they going to be able to do offensively with who's it going to be? It's either going to be Max Brosmer or Brett Rippon. I don't know if John Wolford gets the opportunity today or not. I don't know. That'd be the 4th quarterback. I don't even know if he's actually on the active roster or not. But the Lions, interestingly enough, has got a lot of things going on as far as that is concerned. St. Brown doesn't want to play today. Well, stay home. Part of your job, believe it or not, and you don't have to agree with it, is to entertain on the holidays. But that 16% for the Lions, well, they get eliminated from the playoffs with a loss or a Green Bay win. Well, we already know Green Bay's in action. And the picture here shows how about this? The Buccaneers got out of the gate immediately, but now get eliminated from the playoffs with a loss and a Carolina win. Lions with the loss or a Green Bay win. The Bucs need a little help. They got to win, and they got to hope Carolina loses. Could happen. Carolina, young football team, playing good football, but hey, could happen. I mean, importantly enough. So Where does the Lions' future hold? That's going to be an interesting thing, and it's going to be somewhat decided today. I'm going to take the Lions. I'm going to keep them alive, but I think they get done with it at the end of the day because I think, well, we'll talk about the Green Bay game. Well, obviously, kind of like what I think is going to go out there, Green Bay against the Ravens. And big questions in that one. Now, the Dallas Cowboys are in action today. They are in the early game, the first game. And say whatever you want. There's a lot to talk about. And guess what? There it is. It's been 30 years since the Cowboys last appeared in an NFC Championship game. It is one of it's actually the longest drought. And also, if you just look at what's going on, as far as the Cowboys are concerned, 15 of the 16 teams have made the championship game since 2009. Oh, by the way, that does include Carolina. Oh, that does include the New Orleans Saints, who are arguably two of the worst teams, but yet they've done it within the last, since 2009. So since 2009, 15 of the 16 teams in the NFC have made the NFC Championship game, except for the Dallas Cowboys. Now, we can have a lot of fun with this and laugh about it because it is kind of funny. Because who's the problem? You can argue who the problem is and all that. We can talk about Jerry Jones being who he is. But the Dallas Cowboys have got a strong offense, and we're going to talk about those numbers in a minute. But the defense is definitely one of the problems, and one of the things that they have been talking about is getting rid of the defensive coordinator, former Bears head coach. Oh, you got to look out for him as a head coach, as that. Well, maybe not. I don't know. But as far as who these guys are and what goes on in this game, Washington has got so much going on in that game. I just also throw this out. Hey, 4 receptions for almost $500,000 for Deebo Samuel today. Are you impressed? I can't say that I am. I think even the Washington Commanders wanted more out of Deebo Samuel. Good, bad, or indifferent. They just would have wanted more. And by the way, wanting more is not the worst thing to happen. If you want more from your guy, and these receptions, you look at what's going on with them. Are they empty receptions? Listen, I'm not the one that writes the contract, so this is on the people that write the contract. But I don't know how they can really kind of, write that up. I wouldn't necessarily know. That having been said, Washington and the Cowboys, this game is in Washington. And looking at where this game doesn't matter worth a nickel, that's when you get an interesting game to watch. When you look at teams like today, all we want to be is entertained. But the Dallas Cowboys the money line is sick. It's 95% on the Dallas Cowboys to win the game. And looking at numbers doesn't matter. Well, I don't know. Dallas Cowboys, they haven't been doing themselves a favor. But again, I want you to think about this. In the last 1, 2, 3, 4 games if you want to count yeah, 1, 2, 3. The fourth game, the Dallas Cowboys have scored over 30 points a game in the last four games. Yeah, last 4 games. So 3 of their last 4s are losses. Okay, when you score 34 twice and 30 and 31 points a game, you should win football games. Now, granted, they did win the one with 31. But consistently, the Dallas Cowboys have underachieved as far as record is concerned. Now, they went on a 3-game stint where they beat Kansas City, the Eagles, and the Raiders. But the only one that was really worth a nickel in reality, if you look at it, were the Eagles. But taking the loss against the Arizona Cardinals, and by the way, how they lost that game is enough. But I will say this. When you look at the Dallas Cowboys and what's going on, and the over and under, they have killed the over and under all season long. They've only missed the over and under 4 games out of the 16, or out of the 16 that they've played. 15 actually. So the over and unders, and they're usually around 50, which shows that they can score and also give up a lot of points. On the other side of that, the Washington Commanders, they haven't looked spectacular at all, especially during that drought from week 6 up to week 15 where they lost every single game. And I'm telling you, as a Dan Quinn fan, that don't look for your future. However, I think he stays there. And getting a win against the Giants is sad. But during that run of those losses, they lost to the Bears, playoff team. They lost to the Cowboys, not a playoff team. They lost to the Kansas City Chiefs, not a playoff team. They lost to the Seahawks, not a playoff team. Then they lost to the Lions. I don't know. It could be or not. We can add that later. But the loss to the Dolphins, not a playoff team. Lost to the Broncos, yeah, that's a playoff team. Then a win against the New York Giants, and then a loss against another playoff team. They can't decide if they want to be good, bad, or indifferent. But when you lose 6 in a row like that, actually, it was more than that. 7 in a row. Lost 7 of their last 8. It's not going to get you anybody going, God, you got to look out for these guys. But here's where the difference is. The Cowboys are 5th in the NFL in scoring. But on the defensive side, they're 31st. They're getting 30 points a game while only scoring 28. Now, Washington's not that much better. They score 20 points a game and give up 27. So, as far as points allowed are concerned, huge. But the Dallas Cowboys do know how to score. Their passing offense is number 1 in the NFL. They're 5th in the NFL for passing touchdowns per game, 2 a game. And then the 6th in the NFL for passing attempt yards. They're getting close to 7.5 yards a game. And then 8th in the NFL, though, as far as sacks allowed per game. Their offensive line is showing that yeah, they're not great. They're good. They're not great. They can get better. But passing first downs in the NFL, 3rd in the NFL is the Dallas Cowboys with 14 passing first downs a game. And looking at all those numbers in Washington, they rank in the 20s in almost every passing per game, the touchdowns per game, in the 20th. Then they're 18th as far as interceptions, almost an interception every single game. So you'll probably see that today, even as bad as the Dallas Cowboys defense is, then they're going to give up close to 3 sacks in this game. as their 18th in sacks that they give up. So, granted, looking at the numbers, it looks like this one can be a blowout, but at the same time, you get a little drama with this one. Dan Quinn, Dallas Cowboys. I love that because I'm telling you right now, and I'm not putting anything past Schottenheimer. The Dallas Cowboys screwed up when they didn't hire Dan Quinn as the head coach of this football team before he left. Now, granted, we're talking 3 years ago, but I'm just saying that's when that change should have been made, and it should have been to Dan Quinn, and I think they might have been a better football team and a team that you would have to worry about. And then you wouldn't have to take a look at this, the last drought since the NFC Championship game 1995. You don't have to look at that number. You don't have to look at this one slapping you in the face. And then, this is throw one up on top of it. The Eagles have won back-to-back this year and last year. And last time that was done was 4 in a row when the Eagles did it. But then they just started switching off. 2023, Dallas Cowboys. 22, Eagles. 21, Cowboys again. Then 20, Commanders. 19, Eagles. They just started flip-flopping. No one won them consistently. They kept flipping around there. Take away from Washington winning it 3 times in 15 years. You had 12 years where the Cowboys and the Eagles were the ones winning the division of football. And then looking at playoff scenarios and teams that are in, here you got teams that have been eliminated with Washington and the Cowboys that have been eliminated in the playoffs. Then you got the teams that are somewhat alive and teams that have qualified. You see a big difference on who they are. And by the way, my Colts, when I picked them at the beginning of this year, it's amazing how much Daniel Jones is a big part of that whole scenario, not being in the lineup and where they've been without him compared to where they have been with him. But the Eagles make the playoffs again. They won the division again this year. So the Dallas Cowboys get to look at that every single week. And then where are they as far as power rankings? Look where the Dallas Cowboys are in the power rankings. And not to mention the fact that Washington's 26th in there. You got the Cowboys 21st in the power rankings up to this week. How are you feeling today? And the fact that the Cowboys could blow out the Washington Commanders being the power rankings of 21, I find that incredibly interesting. I don't know. You're going to see some changes, good, better, and different in Washington. But again, Deebo Samuel's going for it. Listen, you're out of those first 4 balls should go to Deebo Samuel. Get this guy as bonus, especially if you want him back. So that's the big question. Are they going to want Deebo Samuel's back next year? But you better get that guy his money. If they can't get him 2 receptions in the last 2 games, in each one of those games, then they're dogging him. And if they sit him, there's got to be something to be said about that. I don't know. I've only seen the Dallas Cowboys screw over their players, close to making bonuses and sitting them down. I just wonder if Washington can be that way. Or do they go out and get this guy his 4 and get that done today? And they better. But I got the Dallas Cowboys winning this game. I don't know, blowout, because these two, with the extra added drama that is, Dan Quinn, I just worry about the Commanders or the Cowboys doing what they normally do. Jayden Daniels, I don't know. Is he going to play? I haven't even heard about what's going on with Jayden Daniels as far as news. Let's just look. Jayden Daniels, because he was hurt. So Daniels and Mariota are going to go to Johnson. So we're not going to see Daniels and or Mariota. So Johnson better be able to deliver that ball to Deebo Samuels. So now, and it's interesting now, after the rookie season that Jaden Daniels had, how people are all of a sudden making a total 180 on him and question whether or not he can be the guy. Jaden Daniels, listen, good football player. And if you honestly believe that he is a guy that is just going to forget how to play this game and do what he did. Now, granted, you get that. We can talk about the film all day long. But as far as his stats are concerned, you've got to be able to see where he is, and that being Daniels, in his career. Now, just throw this out. Remember, he's been hurt, but his first year, over 3,500 yards passing, 25 touchdowns, quarterback rating of just a little over 100. He threw 9 interceptions. This year, 1,262, 8 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, quarterback rating of 88, but this is also a guy who hasn't been in the lineup. So I think you got to give Jaden Daniels a little time. Yeah, guess what? Sophomore slump, along with being injured. I think you need to give the guy a little respect. And when you don't respect it, I want to see more. And even next year is not going to be enough for me to say, well, we're all wrong about Jaden Daniels. Because sophomore slump, yes, it's part of it. You say whatever you want. It is a part of the game. And we see it and talk about it every single year. And I think what that whole situation ends up with at the quarterback position for Washington, Dan Quinn is going to set his sails on how long he's the head coach. But a big game today. Say whatever you want. Big game today. And yes, it means absolutely nothing. But for people who are watching, it's huge. Now, so I am on the Dallas Cowboys. I am on the Detroit Lions. I want to go to this real quick. Here's my ranking. This popped up for the 2026 Pro Bowl game quarterbacks. And yes, I'm not supposed to. That's why I couldn't vote. Look who I got at number 1. I think out of these 6, Sam Darnold has proven for the last 2 years that this guy is a stand-up. And I hate to say it, man. It just drives me nuts. But sometimes you've got to get out of your situation. And I might have been wrong about him. There it is. There's the proof that says that I'm wrong about him. He's number 1 in my list out of these 6. Drake May knows how to play quarterback for his football team. Did you notice how I didn't say he's great because I don't know if he does? I'm going to say this guy just knows how to listen to his coach, and the coaches know how to put him in the best position to be who he is. That's why you got to listen to a guy, and you got to put him second. Justin Herbert, he is a roller coaster ride. We don't know what we're even going to get from him today. However, he's been playing a lot better than he has. He's shown that he's a stud. But I would have him third with Matthew Stafford, number 4, out of this list because Josh Allen can't decide if he's going to be a good football player at the quarterback position. And now people are beginning to question, but you still got to give him that. And Dak Prescott at number 6, you don't win enough football games in order to gain the respect of the Pro Bowl. So when you look at this list, and you see who's on this list. You got the NFC on the top, the AFC on the bottom, and obviously ranking number one for Drake May in the AFC, number two for Justin Herbert and Josh Allen. These are the guys we talk about. Notice there's no Lamar Jackson there. We're going to talk about him in a moment. But right now, yes, Dak Prescott's been playing out of his mind, and it's not his fault he's at number 6, but the end result is, and say whatever you want, they get too much blame. Well, they also get too much credit. And that too much credit for wins are there, but guess what? I'm not going to take it away from him. He's scoring 30 points a game, but at the same time, you got to be a winner for your football team. So out of that, thinking about the NFL, and this popped up, I just thought it really interesting. I think, and this is for the legitimate Super Bowl. Is there a legitimate Super Bowl? I think there's one sleeping. If there's one thing you should know from week 16, at least according to this, there's no legitimate Super Bowl favorite. So I guess
What?
Whoa. I clicked that a long time ago. I think there is one legitimate one. And we're not talking about them. I think the San Francisco 49ers just may be the best team in the NFL. I thought it was going to be the Ravens, but Lamar Jackson can't stay healthy, can't stay in the lineup. I really thought they would make a run for it. I thought they would run that AFC, and I thought they'd get there. It's not going to happen. Good thing for my Jaguars, I guess you could say. But there's no legitimate Super Bowl favorite. I think everybody is overlooking the 49ers. I really do. The 49ers have got everything going on. They're playing good ball. So I think there's a miss on the plaque. I put it up there because I just thought, man, you're just not going to give them any kind of credit. So 49ers, I think, might be on the top of that. Now, let's go to some more of that, and then we'll finish up here. Wins against teams above 500 this season. There's one team sitting on the top of the AFC side, and the other sitting on the bottom of the NFC side of these two teams. I was showing it, and I'm glad this one came up. You still got to win the games in front of you. That, i.e., are the Patriots. But on the other side, you got the Lions that have got to show, or the Giants, who show they can't win. They got 2 wins against teams that are above 500, but look where they are. Both sides of the spectrum. But again, this might have been the best year to get Mike Vrabel in there so he could go out, do what he's doing, come next year. And again, I don't know where the Patriots are going to land. But I like the chances as long as Mike Vrabel is there. The time we were talking about coaching last year for the Patriots when they went Gerard Mayo. And then I'm sitting here going, they should have went after Vrabel, where he was in his contract. He could have got out. So interesting enough. Another plaque here. These are the games. A loss. And you'll see the Baltimore Ravens out of the playoffs. Good, bad, or indifferent. I think what it does not dispel the myth that the Ravens can't seem to win to make the playoffs. And Lamar Jackson can't go and take away the last few years. This is a guy who just can't stay healthy. And it's something that happens every single year. What are you going to look at? Well, you're going to look at a football team that has got the potential. They just don't know how to get it. So with Steelers win or the Baltimore Ravens loss, they are gone. The Colts started off exciting this year. I told everybody about it. I said they were going to be good. Their defense is good, but when you don't have a quarterback anymore, that defense has stayed out on the field so long that they're going to be done at the end of this week, because I think they lose this week. We'll talk about that on Sunday. And I think Houston wins today. Yeah, so I gave away my pick for this afternoon. So Houston, I just love what they're doing. But against the Chargers, that's going to be a tough game. And we talked about the Lions and the Bucs. All right. Also, Sam Darnold, needs 4 passing touchdowns to get a $500,000 bonus. He'll be looking for him. So watch out for that. That's going to be a lot of fun. Saquon Barkley needs 155 yards from scrimmage to earn $250,000. And then Stephon Diggs, 4 receptions to get a $500,000. And then this guy needs 70 scrimmage yards to get $1 million bonus. I hope it ends up happening for him. I really do. These guys, it's kind of I want to see that kind of stuff for guys to get their money. And I hope, and the teams that have zero chance at playoffs and stuff, they need to make that the priority. Obviously, winning's not a priority, or we would be talking about them in the playoffs, and we're not. Broncos in Kansas City, I don't have a lot to say, because the Chiefs are a football team that are in so much trouble, but we're not talking about them being in the playoffs, so we can eliminate that. Gardner Minshew is out. I don't know who's going to start at the quarterback position. Is it going to be Chris Duncan, or is it going to be Shane Burchell, or did they bring in somebody? I don't know. But looking at where they do, the Kansas City Chiefs, they have been linked to be talking about from 2 Super Bowl winning quarterbacks that they got their eyes on. Joe Flacco, believe it or not, could be somebody that makes his way over there. Flacco would be on his 4th team if that ends up happening. That is so funny. It just cracks me up. So Flacco can be someone that they're looking at. I don't see why bringing in Joe Flacco for the last 2 games would be crazy. But maybe having Flacco on the lineup, understanding we were talking about where Patrick Mahomes can be, landing Flacco for the first 4 games because Mahomes might not be ready by week number 1 wouldn't be the worst thing that the Kansas City Chiefs could do. Does it make sense for this year? No. But to start next year, the Chiefs, they've got to look at it. And I don't think it's the worst decision in the world. Yeah, they brought on Gardner Minshew to take over for Mahomes if he got hurt in a game, not to be a steady, guy week in and week out for 3 or 4 weeks. So the ACL in week 15, they take 9 months to recover. So that should put them in a position where they won't see Patrick Mahomes until week 4. And that could be huge. So again, I don't think they go after Joe Flacco in reality to bring him in for this last 2 games, but to get him set. And say whatever you want about Flacco, this is a guy that has been able to go in and start off really good. And then he'll retired to that backup lineup after Mahomes get there. Now that question would be, though, is would Flacco take that job? And, say that doesn't mean a lot. And the Chiefs, after the injuries to Gardner Minshew and Patrick Mahomes, are probably going to turn to a dude. I'm just going to admit it, I don't know who he is. He's off the Bills practice squad, Shane Buechele. I don't know if that's not going to be enough to get the win. Yeah, and because the Broncos, even though, listen, the Broncos, with their failure last week, and I mean failure, I'm going to admit, didn't pick the Jaguars to beat them. Jaguars were on a roll. They've won 6 in a row. But the Broncos were on a 9-game winning streak at that time. So I'd say they were going to lose the game, but I didn't trust the Jaguars to be able to win the big game. And that was a big game. So the Jaguars are going to win the last 2 weeks of the season. They get the Colts and the Titans. So where they were going to end up is what will end up happening in the AFC on top, whether it's going to be the Chargers taking a loss or up on the other side of it. And who's the other team that the Broncos and Chargers? I don't know. Interestingly enough, good to see Cuervo's mama on. I got Cuervo's mama, but I don't have Cuervo. I didn't expect Cuervo today. Merry Christmas, Mrs. Cuervo. I hope you're having a great holiday season out there, as far as that's concerned. Now, the Houston Texans and Chargers is an interesting game. And I like what I'm going to see in this one. I love Houston's defense. So much so that I think that defense can carry it. Never mind the fact C.J. Stroud is coming along a little bit better than he has been. Listen, he hasn't been playing the best, throughout this season, but it's been enough after coming off an injury that makes the whole thing very interesting. So C.J. Stroud, when you look at this kind of guy and what he brings to whatever, I love what he can do. I love what Houston can do. And I think now would be the time that you would want him to become Super Stroud and go out there and do what they do. Well, last 5 games, okay, you're looking at Houston being 5-0. So the Chargers, they're 4-1. They've both been playing good football. And but here's where the problem lies for the Chargers. The Houston Texans are first in points allowed, only giving up less than 17 points a game. That's huge on the defensive side of the ball. And not only that, you can't score on these guys in the second and fourth quarter. The best you're going to get is a field goal. Their pass defense is 4th in the NFL, giving up only 176 yards. They're 4th in the NFL for touchdowns, giving up only 1 touchdown a game. They're 3rd in the NFL for passing yards allowed per attempt, less than 6. That's 3rd in they're also 3rd in interceptions. They grab up an interception at least in every game. So watch out for that. And then they're 7th in the NFL for passing first downs allowed per game. So it's hard to get first downs on this football team. Their run defense is 4th best in the NFL. Okay, they give up on average less than a touchdown a game. So say whatever you want. This Houston defense is huge as they're first in rushing first downs allowed per game. They only give up 4.7 first downs in the game. And we can look at the numbers on the other side for the Chargers. They're a good defense as well. As the Texans are first in the NFL on points allowed, the Chargers are eighth. They give up 20 points a game. So that by that sense, just looking at the allowance, the Texans are going to win 20 to 16 if you go by the point averages. But where they are in passing yards per game, fourth in the NFL for the Texans. Hey, only 3 more yards. The Chargers defense is huge. They're seventh in the NFL on yards allowed per attempt. They're only just a little bit behind the Texans in almost every defensive things except for fumble recoveries. Because I'm telling you right now, the Texans are ninth in the NFL for fumble recoveries. So they're going to pounce on a ball. And the Chargers are only giving up 5 yards of play compared to the Texans. But I don't know. Who's got the advantage going into this game? This is a pick'em game. But yes, and that Merry Christmas all and Bears Merry Christmas. Yeah, gotcha, Mrs. Cuervo. But this game has had me back. But I think they're both winning football games, so it's hard to look at that number. I'm going to go with a gut on this one. I'm going to Houston, so everybody should go Chargers because I've had a real tough time doing it. All right, and I've already exposed who I thought was going to win Green Bay and Baltimore. I think Green Bay actually easily will get this win. Lamar Jackson, whether or not let's find out if he's going to play. Hold on 1 second. And then you got the other side if you're going to have Jordan Love play, if he's going to play. So here's the news on Jackson. Let's see here. Wow, interestingly enough. There we go. Lamar Jackson, as far as he actually sat out practice yesterday. So whether or not he's going to be able to play, that's going to be huge for them as far as, the Baltimore Ravens. This is a bad injury to have. I mean, especially if the Ravens are actually seriously thinking about what's going on. But Jordan Love, let's find out if he's playing. I don't even know if he's playing. Is still in concussion protocol. So Malik Williams sat out practice as well. So let's see here. He is in. Is it a game time decision? I'm not sure. Oh, wait, I can find that out. Give me a second. Where was I just at? That's not it. There we go. So let's take a look at that game. Let me hit because both of these teams need their starting quarterbacks. I don't think you're going to get neither one of them. All right, here we go. There it is. And the injuries right here. All right, so Lamar Jackson is questionable, and that was as of today. Jordan Love is also questionable. So they have not made the determination on what that's going to be. So at the taping of this, I'm going to go Green Bay. Whatever you want. Malik Willis played pretty well last week. So coming in after Jordan Love. Hey, say whatever you want. It's what it is. So, all right. So that's what we're going to do here. As we got it all set, we didn't get Podfather in. We covered all the games for this one. And here's another list of guys that got money riding on these last two games. Needs one touchdown for Shaker to get $150,000. We talked about Dodal. Hunter Henry needs 4 receptions for $250,000, and Myles Garrett still has 2 games to get a sack. He'll probably get it. And Nick Foles, 2 field goals made for $375,000. As far as getting those incentives out there. So I think we got everything. Yep, that was the last thing I needed to get covered as far as that was concerned. So that's going to do it for us here for our Christmas edition of the Couch Potato Sports Show. Again, join us to Sunday, where we'll bring on Marcus Monroe, comedian and pun master. Guys, this guy just cracks me up. I guess I'm just a lover of dad jokes. The stupid jokes that everybody seems to hate. So, but he's going to be on with us. I can't wait for it. It's going to be a lot of fun. We'll see what that ends up. We will see you Sunday at our regular time. That will be, 9 a.m. Central Standard Time, as we'll take you up to the games on Sunday. That's going to do it for us here on the Couch Potato Sports Show. I'm Sonny Clark. Have a good one.